Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the webinar. This webinar is about how you can streamline your design process with SolidWorks 2019. And let me give the short introduction of me. My name is Shivkant Tilekar. I am a senior application engineer at Beacon. In a short version, I completed my MTech from an NIT and I have a 4 year of design experience, and I'm SolidWorks expert. And basically, if you have any trouble with the SolidWorks, you contact me. That's all. So let's move on to our current agenda. This presentation will be about a huge telescope. It's called Canada-France Hawaii Telescope, and they are located just here on the 14,000 foot of Mauna Kea volcano. They are the mountains. Yeah, I know, it's a nice view. Sure. Canada-France Hawaii Telescope, they first commissioned in 1979, and they have a very long history of innovation. And today, they are specialized in panoramic images of the solar system, exoplanets, galaxies, and of course, high-resolution spectroscopic images. I know this is very tedious terms to understand. So understand in the terms that we do. Let's observe the photos they have captured with their camera. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So, Canada-France Hawaii Telescope, as a leader, they understand that they have to stay ahead of the competition. So that's why they have decided to replace their existing structure with a new one of Mauna Kea Spectroscopic Explorer. And this is where SolidWorks 2019 comes into the play. SolidWorks 2019 have many more features that helps them to design their spectroscopic explorer. So today we are going to see these things into the 4 sections. I have divided these things into the 4 sections. First, we will see how the performance have been improved. Then we pay attention to some details. Then we see some of the enhancement from the design ecosystem, and finally, what are the new and exciting innovations that our SolidWorks have in this year. So I hope you are all excited. So let me start with the first section of the performance. And the very first enhancement that we're going to see is the performance enhancement, in which we are going to see that how the large assembly can be opened easily, and the performance will be still maintained into SolidWorks 2019. So let me jump to the SolidWorks. In SolidWorks 2018, as you can see on the screen, if we have to open such a large assembly, we have to activate the large assembly mode, and we have to sacrifice our details of the components, the edges, shadows, real view, etc. If I turn off the large assembly mode, these things can still be seen, but my graphic performance is sacrificed, like these ones. As you can clearly observe the chunkiness in the model. Of course, SolidWorks 2019 changes the game. We can still turn off the large assembly mode, and I can still improve on my graphic performance. Yes, the side-by-side comparison, you can clearly see how the graphic performance has been increased. Basically, it utilizes the more of your graphic card and gives you the real experience of working with the large assemblies itself. The operations like zooming, pan, rotate, that will be done very easily in SolidWorks 2019, and it will definitely help you to improve your perspective to view at the large assemblies. Definitely. So in SolidWorks 2019, now it is a more smoother, responsive, and real-time dynamic model display that I bring to the table using SolidWorks 2019. Okay, next set of enhancement is in large design review mode, and As you can see, we can open the assemblies in the seconds. Conventionally, we are using the large design review mode for opening the assemblies, viewing the assemblies itself. But in 2019, large design review mode has been announced, and it is not only the capability of just viewing it, but also we have capability to add a new workflow to it. So let's dive into the SolidWorks and see it, what it has. So when I visit to the SolidWorks, as you can clearly see, when I open this assembly in the large design review mode, the assembly will be open in a seconds, and we can have different abilities in here. We can select the parts. If you want to zoom, pan, rotate, we can do the operations likewise. And if you want to measure the distances between the two places or planes, it is possible into large design review. Taking the section views can also be possible. Once again, if we hide any components, yeah, that is also possible into large design review mode. In SolidWorks 2019, we have a new option of editing the assembly in the large design review mode. Yeah, we can have the reference plane information displayed in here along with the mating information as well. So let me turn on the layout of this pump, and we are going to insert the new components in here. Yes, now we can insert the new components into large design review. If you want to delete any components, yeah, that is also possible. So let me go ahead and insert a new component of this pump assembly. So we can directly drag and drop these things into the assembly. And next thing is we want to mate this. We can do the smart mates like we do with the regular assemblies. The mate displays can be also be there. And not only that, if you want to add any magnetic mate components in here to quickly position our assemblies, that is also possible with SolidWorks 2019, this new enhancement. So if you want to change the configuration of the existing parts, yes, the changing the configuration is very easy into large design review mode. And finally, if the components are hidden along the way, then we can easily bring back those components like these ones. So finally, we can save this into its new assembly, and whenever we open this into the resolve mode, yeah, these components will be still in their places, and so that we can position the component quickly using this large design review mode itself. So in a nutshell, we can rapidly open our large assemblies, and it is a new tool for the assembly editing, the large design review itself. So with this, let me move on to the next set of announcements that SolidWorks brings to this table. This announcement is in Assembly Delighter, and of course it helps you to manage your assembly mates information. So let me jump to the SolidWorks and showcase it to you. So when I go to this assembly, as you can see, in the assembly we are dealing with the lots of mates. Now in 2019 we have an option to group these mates by the status or by the separate fastener. So let me go ahead and group this by status. So as I click, you can see the folders have been created where the solved and unsolved mate are been defined. If you want to edit any mates, yeah, we can directly go specify the missing references in here, and when I click OK, it will ask me to replace all the missing references all at once. Yes, that is possible. And now if you want to delete any mates or suppress any mates, and it will be categorized into its separate folder like these ones. And of course, if you want to at any point of time delete these things, we can go ahead and delete those things also. The finally inactive mates, it's separated in its separate folder, and with this we can definitely improve our performance of dealing with the mates in the assembly. Most of the companies wants their toolbox components to be at their fixed position, that do not move. We can just right click over the folder and lock the all concentric rotation at once. In SolidWorks 2019 though, we have an option of locking these toolbox component directly from the options toolbar. We can hover over the whole and widget toolbox, and we can lock the concentric rotation at once. This will save us a time and giving the edge of dealing with the METs very quickly and easily. So in assembly lighter, we have productivity tools for robust assembly interaction. And of course, we can have high quality deliverables, deals within less time. So with this, I'm concluding this assembly delighter and moving on to the next set of enhancement. It's called Silhouette D feature. In a Silhouette D feature, we have a very exciting enhancement that will protect our intellectual property. It can create a simplified assembly and visually similar assemblies from the original assemblies. And of course, it will be linked with the original assemblies. So let me jump to the SolidWorks and showcase it to you. So the assemblies such as these ones, of course, it is part of a very large assembly of this Spectroscopic Explorer. So when I open this into its own window, we now have a new command. It's called D feature, into which we have an option. When I click on this command, we have an option in it's called the Silhouette D feature, which can simplify based on the outline of the components. So let me quickly select these components that I want to simplify. Once it is selected, we can assign the simplification method. For this, I am assigning the copy geometry simplification method. So when I add this to the group, as you can see on the right hand side, the preview has been generated. This preview is completely in the sync with the original assembly. Yes, we can, with the new option of selecting identical component, we can select the identical component such as the studs. We can select this cable drive, end plates, and finally we select the motor, which is the body, and assign them the cylindrical method of simplification. When you add this to the group, the simplified model is present right hand side. We can grab all the hex nuts, the split cable drive, and of course we assign them the polygon outline method of simplification and add it to the group. And finally, the motor is assigned with tight fit outline method of simplification, and we can have the multiple orientations like these ones. We just select the face and the model will be simplified with respect to that. Once everything is done, we can move on to the next. And we can save this as a new document linked to the original, or we can publish this onto 3D Content Central, where others can take access to our designs. But note that thing, we are not sharing our intellectual property. You can see here, there's no information has been passed, just the defeatured the defeatured commands here. So in our Silhouette D feature, we can simplify our assemblies and we can protect our intellectual property very easily. This is basically helpful for using these assembly into top level assemblies. Yes. So with this, I'm concluding the first section of the performance, where we have tackled our biggest design challenges. And with this, let me move on to the next section of attention to details, where the first set of enhancement, it's called the structure system. Basically, it is an advanced weldment environment for creating the welded structure. Conventionally, we used to rely on the weldment and the structural member tab. In SolidWorks 2019, there's been improvement. So let's see what that is. So when I have this Spectroscopic Explorer, there are lots of structure members involved, such as these ones. So when I open these into its own window, as you can see, I want to develop these things from the sketches. But in 2019, I can leverage not only sketches, but the surfaces and the sketches, the reference planes as well. With these, what I can do is just hide the sketch, and with the brand new command of the structure system, I can directly go and add the structural members into it. For which I am going for the primary members first. The primary members, when I click on it, I can have the option to select these things with just a box selection. And just like that, as you can see on the left hand side, I have added the 36 members all at once. Now I can take control over the profile type and the size of this profile. And when I click OK, these members will be added. If you want to change the members, let's say these members, I can directly select those things and I can assign the different type of profile to it. So when I click OK, these members will be changed now. If you want to select the other primary members such as these sketch ones, yeah, the sketch entities can also be selected and assign the different profiles. With this, we can go now for the secondary members, which is run through the primary member, for which I am selecting the support planes in here. So when I select the support planes, I'm linking this member with the primary members. So when I click the primary members, such as these ones, it will automatically, we can specify the profile types. And when I click OK, my structure is ready. So now let me focus our attention toward the corner management. As soon as we exit from the structure system command, we have the corner management option where we can manage simple or complex corners. So for the complex corner, we just have to go and select the corner that we want to manage, and we can take a control over its trim order like these ones. So when we control this trim order, you can see the dynamic graphic display on the right hand side. The corner management option is very helpful in this case. So likewise, we can go on and manage other corners too. And where, so let's say I'm managing this one of the complex corner in here where the trim orders to be managed. I can move these members to the lower box, and once everything is set, I can go on, click OK, the corners will be managed. And with this, I'm selecting the axis, for which I'm selecting a circular pattern, and the bodies that I want to pattern, I can select those bodies. And just like that, as you can see, I have added 84 members within just a second. Yeah, that's the benefit that you get when you deal with the SolidWorks 2019 structure system. So it is basically gives you the new workflow for creating the complex welded structure very easily. I hope you like this announcement. You can leave a comment in the comment box. I'll get to you at the last. Yeah, so with this, let me move on to the next set of announcement, which is a long-fitted enhancement, and every users need to have this enhancement. Of course, I also do willing to have this enhancement very early. In SolidWorks 2019, we have the new enhancement of multi-body interference detection. Yes, we can do the interference detection into the part environment itself. Basically, the multi-body parts, which usually the weldments, we can now detect the interference into it. So when I visit to the SolidWorks, as you can see, the weldment environment that are there, and when I go to this evaluate tab, I can have now option to determine the interferences in here. So when I calculate the interferences, you can see there are 3 interferences present. Now back into the weldments tab, I can go and manage the trim and extend of these components very quickly. So with the help of the part delighter multi-body interference detection, we can now save time for the complex multi-body part. The next set of announcement is in tab and slot. Tab and slot are basically used for the self-fixturing purposes, basically used in sheet metal industry, and not only that, we can use this for the weldments as well. In 2019, the tab and slot has been modified, and we now have option of unequal offset for the slot holes. Along with this, in 2018, we have an option only for the sharp corners, but in 2019, we have different options for the corner types as well, such as the fillet corners, chamfer corners, and the circular corners as well, so that we can take a control over these corners very easily. Not only that, we have the option for creating the slots either blind or through wall. We can take a control over the depth as well. And with the new option of linking the group together, we are saving us a time for using the multiple tab and slot commands, clicking one again and again. We can group those together and link this within the single tab and slot command, save us a time. So with these tab and slot enhancement, now it is very easy to work with the tab and slot and do the self-fixturing of the parts. And with this, I am moving on to the next set of announcement, which is one of my favorite announcements. That is called the part delighter. and it's of course have the ability to work with the mesh geometries, and it definitely can transform the image appearances into the geometry. Yes. So with the help of this part dilator, we can do these things very easily. So let me jump to the SolidWorks and showcase it to you. So the complex shape such as this handle assemblies, we can usually have the workflow of managing these things by the scanning these things and making the surface out of it afterwards, and then we go for the solid and design this part. So with these things, I already have the, you can see there are a lot of surface bodies involved in here. We'll see the way. For that, we'll just import the mesh bodies in here, such as this TMF file. So when I open this TMF file, you can see the geometry is obviously in the mesh. With the new command that we have in SolidWorks 2019, that we can use the slicing command in here, and we can create the number of planes that we want with the offset. And when I click OK, the sketches and the outlines of these can be created and organized into separate folder. We can obviously manage these things according to our likes. Of course, once it is done, we can hide the mesh bodies, and with these I can go to the surface tab and create the loft surface here. Just a few clicks and you can see my body is taking its shape, and when I click OK, yeah, it is generated just like that. This is a symmetric body. We can split this into the two bodies. With the split command, I can do that, and you can see there are two split bodies that are connected. In order to add a logo, I can go to my design library and add the logo in here. Just pick and place this, and I'm ready to project this onto the either side of the surface body that are there. With the help of new project curve and bidirectional option, I can now have the ability to project this into both directions, like these ones. So let me move on to the main handle assembly. As you can see, when I hide this component, this button part is a surface body. Let me isolate it, and this needs to be a watertight body now. With the help of new option of delete holes, what I can do is I can select these holes, like these ones. Now once it is selected, when I click OK, it will be patched accordingly, and watertight body can be created. The interferences has been suspected into these two parts of the handle and the cable. Quick interference detection can confirm our suspicion that there is indeed an interference. When I go out, now when I edit this part with respect to an assembly, and with the help of new chamfer option of the partial chamfer edge parameter, I can now take a control over the chamfer, just like this. Cool, isn't it? I can have the symmetric as well as asymmetric parameters of the chamfer controlled in here, and when I click OK, the chamfers will be there with the controlled environment. Okay, with this I'm moving on to the grip that is shown in here. The patterns such as these when created with the different features that are applied in here. But not only that, we need the different variations such as these bumps, dimples, the logo, like these ones, just to give an option. Creating these things is now very easy in the SolidWorks 2019. So let's go ahead and create these things using this just an image. When I project this image into the surface and map this accordingly, specify the sizes like these ones. Yeah. Now when I click OK, into the solid body folder, I can go and apply the 3D textures to it. Yes, just for an image. We can define a maximum element size, the textures, and just like that, my textures will be ready. Cool, isn't it? Yes. So when I go back to the main assembly, what I can have is the configuration which I can change just by clicking OK in here. Yeah. So the part delighter, in a nutshell, we have new option of the partial fillets and chamfers. We can control the chamfer length with these things. The delete hole from the surface can give us the advantage of patching the hole very quickly for the surface bodies. The projected curve enhancement can save us time for saving the bidirectional. With the bidirectional option, we can save the use of the multiple project curve command all at once. And not only that, we can convert the image appearances to the 3D textures. So with all these, now mesh to manufacture is simplified with the deeper depth of functionalities. We can do this easily in SolidWorks 2019. Okay, with this I'm moving on to the next set of announcement, which is in user experience. So in a user experience, we have options to easily manage the external references as well. We can now open the 100 recent documents all at once. We can quickly filter it according to the part, assembly, or the drawings, or even by the name as well. We can specify the filter types in here. Not only that, the external references can be managed very easily just by this dynamically referenced views, and we can easily break or log the references that we like in here. Not only that, we have option of live measure command in here. With this, what we can do is if we just turn on the mask property, let's say of this flange showcased in here, if I modify any dimensions of it, the mask property will simultaneously get updated, giving us the live feedback using this live measurement. So with all these enhancements, we now have the greater power and ease of use of everyday's workflow. The another set of enhancement that SolidWorks brings to the table this year is in the drawings. So let me jump to the SolidWorks and explain these to you. So creating the complex section views is a very easy task now. With the help of this remove section, we can select these edges, and once the opposite edge has been selected, the section view will be generated just alongside these. And not only that, if you want to focus our attention, let's say over the upper view, and specify any tolerance information, what I can do is with the help of this new tolerance modifier, I can specify more tolerancing information, and the symbols in here. If you want to specify the symbols, I can go on and specify the symbols such as these ones, like this. Once it is done, let me move on to the next set of announcement, which is in the whole table. The whole table, for which we can easily generate a whole table using SolidWorks 2019. We can select the whole table, the references in here. Once it is done, the whole table will be created like these ones. Into SolidWorks 2019, we can now have option to manage the tag order very easily, such as this reduce toolpath or this radial thing, with which we can clearly manage our whole table very quickly. Not only that, if you want to measure any tag type manually, we now have an option to edit this manually as well, so that you can clearly see the live feedback of these. We can combine the same sizes, and once it is done, if you want to change the specific tag, we can specify the prefix to it, like these ones. So with which I can clearly take an advantage of the whole table information. So one of the other thing is there that we get a live measurement changer using the SolidWorks views. In live update now can be excluded for the specific views in order to manage the complex drawing views. So let me visit to the part here. It's a camera body, and when I modify this flange, let's say from 7 millimeters to 13 millimeters. So when I click OK, so when I go back in here, the whichever view that I excluded from the automatic update, we can now update them independently. This is really helpful for managing the complex drawings into our day-to-day activities. Next thing, The bill of material capabilities have been enhanced. Of course, SolidWorks do have the ready-made bill of material capabilities. And now, in this 2019 release, the thumbnails that are there into this dynamic display, we can now save this to the Excel. Just right click in here, we can go to the Excel. We can include the image of these thumbnails, and when I save this, you can see we have very intuitive and interactive bill of material available with us. So with all these enhancements, we now have increased the performance and greater flexibility whenever we work with the 2D drawings itself. So with this, I am concluding the second section of attention to details, and where we have captured the critical design details with ease. And with this, I am moving on to the third section of design ecosystem. Let me explore the enhancement that are there into this section. The first set of enhancement are there. It's in eDrawings, and eDrawings is a great tool of viewing the SolidWorks data into it. We can view 2D as well as 3D without the SolidWorks, and in SolidWorks 2019, the eDrawings have been modified. So let me jump to the eDrawing, and as soon as you can see the user interface of the eDrawing, when I go to this File tab to open any files, I now have an option to open different file formats: Parasolid, Solid Edge, Pro Engineers, JT, NX. Yeah, we can open those files now. So let me open the SolidWorks ASM file. In this, I now have an option to select the configurations. Yes, we can browse to different configurations here. Once it is done, what I can do is I can save these things as the HTML file so that I can upload these things onto my website. So when I open this HTML file, you can see the same eDrawings environment will be there onto our HTML file, where we can take a control over the components here. We can view the components independently. We can view the configurations here as well. If any explored information is there, we can readily access those explored informations. And not only that, we can have the section view capabilities into this HTML environment as well. Along with this, we can now reset our views or play any standard view animations that are there. And not only that, we can have the occlusions and the perspective views that are there into this HTML environment as well. So for the comparison, I have SolidWorks eDrawing 2018 and 2019. In 2018, you can see there's still a lag in the geometry. In 2019, we have a massive boost for the graphic performance into the eDrawings. As you can clearly see, the operations such as zoom, pan, rotate, which are there lag into SolidWorks 2018, but when we move on to SolidWorks 2019, these operations are now very smoother and very responsive. So now into eDrawings, we now have option of new file type supported and configuration support, and we can save this as a 3D HTML and improve graphic performance, which is a more reasons to make eDrawings your go-to tool for the CAD viewing purposes. Okay, the next set of announcement is called SolidWorks Treehouse. The Treehouse is basically a very useful way to manage the assembly structure. In 2019, we have options to manage the treehouse very easily. So let me jump to the treehouse and showcase it to you. Whenever you want to open any assemblies, just drag and drop this tree into the treehouse environment. Once it is there, you can see the assembly tree structure has been displayed in here, into which we now have an option to exclude the image of this treehouse structure, which gives us a more manageable space and add more components in here. Not only that, if you want to categorize our tree structure based on the other custom properties, we can now go and select other custom properties as well, and this information, let's say description, will be displayed onto this tree diagram itself. If you want to add the other parts, let's say I want to add the part, and I can go to the part, drag and drop the part in here onto this subassembly, and now I can specify the custom properties directly before creating the parts itself. So that it is a very great way to manage the assembly tree structure beforehand, before creating the assembly itself. So when I click OK, now it's time to export our assembly structure into the bill of material of the assembly itself. So when I go to have these things, just like we have in a SolidWorks drawing, the assembly tree structure with the thumbnails can now be seen into its own window. So with the treehouse, we now have the greater flexibility of creating and managing and sharing the assembly structures here as well. So with this, I'm concluding my the third section of design ecosystem, which have the complete design to manufacturing solutions in here. And I am starting a very last section of this presentation. Okay, it's called the innovations. I can answer to your doubts at the very last of this presentation. So let's hang on to it. You can leave your doubts into the comment box. I can get back to you at the last. With the help of this innovation, what I can do is the first set of innovation that I want to present is in the touch and gesture sketching. In SolidWorks 2019, this environment have been improved, and let me showcase it to you right away. If you want to manage any assemblies like these ones, we can do this with the mouse, of course. Not only that, if you have any surface and touch gesture devices, such as this Microsoft Surface Dial Pad, I can now take a control. I can do rotate, zoom, and I can access my commands at my fingertips, like these ones, with which I can have full control over my design. Not only that, if you have any touch devices and the stylus, I can define the stylus size in here, and whenever I draw my freehand sketch in here, it will automatically be recognized into the splines. Yes, with this I have ability to manage my complex curve very easily, like these ones. Not only this, I have the requirement of adding the other geometry such as the slot. It will automatically be recognized, and if I specify any dimensional information, let's say I specify this dimensional information such as these things, it will automatically be assigned to that particular dimension. Yes, like these ones. If you draw any other entities such as the circle, and this geometry thing can be done there as well, and we can further process with the commands of the SolidWorks. Not only this, we have the enhancement into the mates as well. So with the help of the smart mates, let me open this assembly in here. So when I click on the smart mates, I can directly click on the surfaces that I want to mate in here, like these ones. And finally, if you want to play the animation of these things, the animations can be played just by rotating our fingers. So in SolidWorks 2019, we now have option for the enhanced user experience for the touch devices, and we can easily edit and navigate designs on the go. And SolidWorks touch and gesture sketching now supports more entity types such as the splines, slots, and the handwritten dimensions can now be recognized on the screen. And with these set of productivity tools, it is now very intuitive to work with the touch devices. So I hope you all like this announcement, right? So in addition to these things, we now have the 3D markups here as well. Just like we give the revision clouds onto our 2D drawings. So we have 3D markups in here. So let's say I want to change my design some here. Let's say I want to mention any comments in here. I can now directly do this with the help of this 3D markup directly on the screen, like these ones. So the freehand sketches and 3D notes, which is mentioned in the part and assemblies, can now be saved onto my 3D markups, and we can share this, of course, with the team members and improve our design communication, which allows us to spend less time on the printing paper and more on the design. The last set of announcement that are there into SolidWorks extended reality, and which is also one of my favorite announcement. You can now have option to do these things into eDrawings Direct VR, and SolidWorks do have the extended reality exporter. So let me jump to these two things and show it to you. So if you want to display the model such as these spectroscopic explorer into eDrawings, we now have option to open this into the VR. Just do the scene settings. When we put on our headset, we now have option to jump into our design. So when I go, what I can do is I can literally walk, climb the stairs. Yeah, it is a complete freedom for us to explore our design. Not only this, whenever I go, I can climb the stairs. If I want to pick and place any objects, I can just pick the objects. If we leave the object in there, it will automatically sit into its own position. Along with this thing, SolidWorks have the extended reality exporter into its save as format, with which we can export this file and do much more with it. If you want to have the user experience such as these things, yeah, it is now possible with the help of extended reality exporter. So SolidWorks 2019 gives you definite edge to deal with the next generation design. So SolidWorks extended reality exporter, it is extended reality solutions. It's made easy for your design process. Okay, so with this, I'm concluding my last section of innovation. It's an exciting new ways to work with the SolidWorks. So in a nutshell, let me summarize our this webinar into the video. So get ready. All right. Yeah, these are very handpicked announcements that I choose for this webinar purposes. There are a lot of other announcements too into SolidWorks Composer, which is a technical communication, the software that SolidWorks have. And not only that, we have SolidWorks Inspection for the inspection solutions, with which we can easily create the first article inspection report dynamically. And not only this, we have rendering solutions as well. It's called SolidWorks Visualize. We have the setup announcement in there also, but we'd like to present it into its own webinar. So stay tuned with me for this other webinars also. So let me conclude my webinar. With SolidWorks 2019, you can tackle your biggest design challenges. We can capture critical design details with ease. It is a complete design to manufacturing solutions and exciting new ways to work with the SolidWorks. So, thank you very much. This is my contact detail. If you want to have any request for the special trainings on SolidWorks What's New in SolidWorks 2019, what you can do is you just drop me a mail. We can arrange a training for you, or we can arrange a webinar here as well on the same session.